I wasn't in the mood. I was in one of those moods where you just kind of want to poke the bear a little bit. So I did. Well, hello. Fancy seeing you here. I'm excited for this video. It kind of feels very similar to how it felt when I was making my Vlogmas videos, because that felt a bit like anything goes, and I'm doing something a bit out of my comfort zone this week. So, first of all, that's not a person standing in the background. That is my mannequin. And she is modelling one of the jumpers that I am going to be upcycling. And I'm going to do a little bit of that in this video as I chat to you about why your business does not need to look picture perfect, or indeed even be remotely perfect, in order to be successful. So we're starting off in this corner, but we're going to shoot into the back of the office in a minute. But first off, I just wanted to acknowledge that I've been getting a little bit of flack in the comments section over the past few weeks. One comment in particular was the inspiration behind this video. And I can't remember exactly what their comment was. I remember the gist of it though. It was essentially giving me unsolicited advice as to how I should be running my business, before ending with pointing out how terrible my business actually was. I was like, that's funny. I thought it's been paying the mortgage for me all of this time, but clearly that's not the metric of a successful business. Oh dear. Well, thank God they're here. And that's kind of what I replied to them. I wasn't in the mood. I was in one of those moods where you just kind of want to poke the bear a little bit. So I did. Anyway, we're not going to dwell on that. I'm going to talk more about that in the membership video that's going up on Friday. If you are a member, keep an eye out for that. And also, just if you are a channel member, I've just remembered that I can post members only shorts here on YouTube. And I'm going to start doing that as well in between videos, because I think it's a brilliant way to give you a bit more of the behind the scenes and just a little bit of extra something in between videos. So I've already posted one as a test. Keep an eye out for those as well, because it's my new favourite toy and I will be playing with that going forward. So shall we talk about some things that you don't need to do in order to have a successful business? Yes, let's. But first, let's take this and we'll go back there and we'll do some multitasking. Okay, here we are. And I'm going to start off by drawing out a design for said jumper. But the first thing I want to talk about that you don't need in order to have a successful business is you don't need a ton of items. Let me explain. You could have hundreds of items listed in your shop, or your Etsy shop, or your website, or whatever it is that you do. Or you could have 5. And you could have hundreds that don't sell and rarely get views. Or you could have 5 solid ones that sell over and over again. And that might sound very specific, and it is. I had a comment like this a few years ago. That person is no longer in business, FYI. I'm very sad about it. No, but seriously. After that person left their comment, they had, excuse me if you can hear the jets in the background, it's the first sunny day we've had in a long time and they're out, they're playing. I can't do anything about it. Where was I? Oh yes, they posted with their business name, so you know, smart. So I went to check it out and they had, I think it was a few hundred. There was a lot. There was pages of items. And what they did was digital downloads, which is usually hard for me to say, but I said it first time, that one. And I think they had some print-on-demand products as well, but you catch my drift. And I get the feeling that they weren't selling much of either. And they had taken issue with the fact that I had only, at the time, 5 items in my own Etsy shop. Why did I only have 5 items? Well, because at the time, I was focusing on collections. So I would launch a bunch of items and they would almost sell out. So and then I wouldn't have much left in the shop, so it was like it's a double-edged sword. It was a great problem to have, but it did mean that there would be periods of time where I didn't have many items in the shop. And at this particular point, I only had 5. Sorry, drawing and talking is actually a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. What this person didn't know though, was that 2 of those items, I mean they all sold, but 2 of those items in particular at the time were my best sellers and sold a lot. And they were easy for me to make over and over again. It was trend related, the trend is now gone, but at the time the trend was like at its peak. So it didn't matter that I only had 5 items because those items were solid. And this is why, to have a successful business, the numbers aren't an automatic route to sales. And I know there are people out there, and I've seen them, people saying that in order to get sales, you have to have so many listings, or you have to spend so much money on ads. I'll get to that. It isn't necessary. I do understand the logic behind it, to be fair. The more items you have in your shop, the more likely you are to be found, yada, yada, yada. So obviously the fewer items you have, you have to make sure that they are desirable. So no slapping some rubbish AI art on a mug or a sweater, hoping I can sell thousands of them and make my millions that way. Okay, the other thing that you don't need in order to have a successful business is a ton of sales. There. I said it. Oh, she said what now? I said it and I mean it. But hear me out. Upcycling a sweatshirt and selling one of these is going to make more money than selling one sticker. No disrespect to people who make stickers. I love stickers. You keep doing you. People like me need you. I'm just saying that stickers are smaller ticket items, so you need to sell more of them in order to make the same amount of money as someone who makes bigger ticket items. I've actually got an example here. This patch that I think I showed you in my last video, I've just taken it off the hoop. But this is one of my smaller ticket items, whereas this would be one of my bigger ticket items. I would need to sell more of these in order to make the same amount of money from selling one of these. I don't make the rules, it's just math. Maths. It's sums. So yes, of course you want sales, and of course you want as many as you can possibly make, bearing in mind that when you're hand making things, there's going to be a natural cap to how many that you can make and continue to make in order to make revenue, which is why so many handmade makers and artists diversify by doing other things. And I do think that the people who are most critical of handmade sellers and artists are people who don't do it. I could make a video about how these people are often the ones who benefit from art and handmade the most, but I'm gonna save that rant for another day. Another thing that you don't need to do in order to have a successful business is do the same thing as everybody else, and that includes people like me. Because if everybody is busy running their own business, then they will be doing things in a way that benefits their business, and it is not one size fits all. And I've had folks over the last few years coming into my DMs on Instagram, that's fun, sometimes even my Etsy convos, which is great, and here on YouTube basically asking why I don't do things a certain way, and I'll have to get back to them and say, well, that's a great strategy for a very different kind of business. For my business, i.e. a handmade physical product business, that simply does not work. For example, listing an item every day. What? Can you imagine? But there's also things like running sales, doing Black Friday, offering free shipping, offering discounts on shipping, Kickstarters, Patreon, video content, the list goes on and on and on. The way I see running a business, I'm sure people are going to disagree with me, but does anybody remember the pick and mix section of like newsagents and shops that you'd go into as a kid? Because I've got memories of the pick and mix section would be like penny sweets. There'd be some sweets, the bigger ones, that were 2p, and then there would be some that would be 1p, and your mum would give you like 50p or £1 if you were really lucky, and you would just go fill up your bag with all of the penny sweets. You'd have a bit of this and a bit of that. And this is back in the 80s and 90s where e-numbers were a thing, and you'd just be bouncing off the walls for the rest of the day. Oh. Anywho, that's kind of how I see business. There are so many different strategies, so many different things that we can do that can actually help for certain businesses. And it's your job as a business owner to pick the ones that are right for you. And some people are going to look at your choices and think, well, I would never. And you've got to look back at those people and go, well, that's because you could never. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, and you don't have to pick the same sweets that everybody else is picking. That's my point. Okay, so this one might seem a little bit controversial. It certainly was the first time I said it, about a year ago, maybe a bit longer. You don't need an advertising budget. You don't even need to advertise full stop. And when I say advertise, I'm talking about paid ads. And there was a time, especially in the Etsy sphere, where the go-to advice was pay for ads. And now people are finding that because everybody is paying for ads, there's not enough ad space to go around. And so people are spending money on ads and not getting seen. If you are running a small business, you are far better off promoting yourself in ways that actually get under the noses of the people who are going to be genuinely interested in your work. And I found that the best way to market your products is video content, but you don't have to do video content if you don't want to. If you're selling online, you have to promote online. So you just pick the places that you like the best online, that you know your customers are at, and you focus on those. And that's it. Oh, and you have to be patient because nothing happens overnight. Anyway, hopefully you catch my drift. There are a lot of things that you don't need to do in order to have a successful business. And at the end of the day, you are the only one that gets to define whether or not your business is successful. Other people, it is quite literally none of their business. So those were just a few things that popped into my head, things that you don't need to do in order to be a proper business or a successful business or whatever. But there are some things that no matter what you do, you are going to have to do to some degree. And a lot of people don't like hearing this. So this is where the tough love comes into it a little bit. So the first one that popped into my head was that you would need a realistic view of your products. You can't make something from scratch or create art and not care about it. You are going to be invested emotionally and otherwise. So obviously it hurts if you've put a lot of time and effort into something and it doesn't sell or it doesn't do very well. And the temptation is there to stick at it and to just keep making the thing or keep plugging away until you sell it. And sometimes it's just easier to let it go. And sometimes you're going to have to experiment and throw spaghetti at the wall. But you will always have to evolve. You can't, if you have a product that sells really well, enjoy that because it won't last. And this is the one thing that I've learned through the years of running my own business is that I have had so many bestsellers and everyone stops selling at some point. And that's why you constantly have to throw spaghetti at the wall, evolve your products, experiment with new ones, and to be open to moving in different directions. And the ones that aren't open to that, unfortunately, are going to have a short shelf life. The other thing that you're going to do, and I often get pushback on this as well, but if you want to run a business online and you want people to find you, you're going to have to promote online. And a lot of people don't like this. They want to make, they want to do their art. I 100% relate. That's the word I'm looking for. I relate to that. I think this comes down to your goals for your business. Like, for example, I've told you that this is my business. It's how I pay my bills. So it's not just a nice to have. I'm reliant on this. So I'm not playing. Which means, like it or not, I need to promote myself online. And if you are in a position where you don't need to do that, that's great. However, if you are, and you do want to, as I say, get more eyeballs to your business and whatnot, then you're going to have to embrace the online promotion marketing to some degree. The next one, this is probably one of the hardest ones, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, and it's, sorry, if I thought talking and drawing was hard, apparently talking and cutting is harder. You're going to need to be patient because you cannot grow anything that is worth anything overnight. Sometimes going viral can cause more stress than anything else. I personally would be very, very happy if I didn't go viral again for the rest of my handmade career. So I would say slow and steady is key. And the next time you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else or your business to someone else's business, do ask yourself how long they've been in business for. And even then, that's not really comparing apples to apples, because somebody might be doing a different thing. Their personal situation might be different. For example, someone who doesn't have any dependents to look after is going to have a lot more time and freedom on their hands than someone who's got a family or is a carer. You catch my drift. That's not to say that anybody has it easier. I'm just saying be very, very wary of the comparison trap, because you will struggle to find any example out there that is a true likeness for your business that you can compare to. Otherwise, you're just comparing your page 1 to someone else's page 1000. It's a losing battle. Don't do that. And this one actually is one of the things that we're probably the most scared about when putting ourselves out online in any form. But it's actually not that bad. And it actually gets so much easier to do, and that's to ignore the naysayers. Be they people that you know in real life, in, you know, the form of friends, partners, family members, that sort of thing, because that's happened to me before. Eating their words now. Or idiots that comment on your videos online. People are always going to have opinions, and there's going to be people that think it's their meaning in life to educate others, whether they've asked for it or not. So you've just got to let them. Smile sweetly and just see them on their way with a just know that any kind of success that you'll have, it's going to trigger someone at some point, and that's not your business. That's theirs. So let them. And if you really want to have fun, you can poke fun at them sometimes, but I wouldn't recommend that. Don't do as I do. Just block and carry on your sweet way. And if it's someone that you know in real life, like a family member or a partner, that is harder to navigate, because these are people in your inner circle whose opinions you actually care about. But you have to find a way to hold on tight and just really believe in yourself, because if you don't, nobody else is going to. And then the last thing is, you're going to have to do the work. Oh, you wouldn't think that this would need to be said, but it does. There are a lot of people that seem to want to do anything but. And a lot of people who spend a lot of time learning and asking questions, and they get stuck in that preparation period instead of the actual just getting stuff done period. Nobody wants to be seen as not knowing anything or doing things imperfectly, so they just get scared to even start, and that's poison. It's better to throw spaghetti at the wall imperfectly and have things stick and then move on from that, because everything that you do is going to be like a stepping stone forward. You cannot skip that. You cannot leapfrog from the start to your end point, which is success, or whatever your end point is. Okay, I think I've yapped at you long enough now, and I hope that you get the general gist. Your business doesn't have to look like anything. If it looks good to you and if it feels good to you, that's all that matters, and anybody else can get in the bin. Do you want to see a reveal? Yes, you do. I'm showing you anyway. Da, 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 da. Another bit of cheeky reverse applique going on, and as I said on Instagram this morning, I'm really having to rein myself in from doing more things, because there's a lot more that I could be doing to these sweatshirts, but I'm trying to keep it simple, because as I've said before, these are just spaghetti. Now, I just wanted to end this video by saying, for those of you who have been really supportive, not just this month, but just the last few months while everything has been up in the air, thank you. I know it's often easier to focus on the negative comments. Sorry, I'm slouching, so I'm going to raise you up a little bit, because I'm not the tallest, so I really don't need to be slouching. Anyway, yes, I know it's easier to focus on the negative comments. I've not really felt like I've been focusing on the negative. I feel like there once was a time when I would, but I feel like I've been bouncing back quite easily, and I felt really positive about showing up in this online space, and that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you for vastly outweighing the occasional negative comment and keeping me in love with what I do. Sincerely, it's appreciated. Now, as I said earlier, there is a channel membership video going up this Friday, and I will be talking about things like my sales over the past month, negative comments. I'll be diving into that a little bit deeper because I think that's a safe space to do that, and how I've been unlocking my creativity. So yeah, look out for that video. And if you're not a member but you've been thinking about it, just tap the join button that's below this video. It's nice and easy, and it would be lovely to have you over there. Otherwise, I will see you again next week. Ta-ra!